Hello, hello. I am broadcasting on my Facebook Live and on my Instagram Live because I'm just going to be honest. I have a lot going on and I haven't been super excited to be on video. I feel like it's a lot and it's something that I took for granted when I first started this work, but I love doing videos. I love watching other astrologers do videos, but they're exhausting too. They're exhausting to always come on here. So hello, how are you doing? And I'm talking about the full moon this week. So the full moon is on, depending on where you are, West Coast time, it is in the evening of the 22nd. And if you are East Coast time, it is like at midnight on the Thursday, the 23rd. So for a lot of people, this is a holiday. Some people celebrate and some people don't. And because of that, it's got an interesting influence because Gemini, okay, so it's a Gemini full moon, and Gemini rules our relationships to our siblings, to our close-in community. So to have a full moon, which brings issues to the surface, a full moon, so we say at the new moon we set intention, at the full moon we can see what is hindering those intentions. So we're being made aware of things come to the surface for us to deal with. And so when we have a full moon in Gemini, an air sign, it's about relating. It's about relating to others, but especially our close community and our siblings. So if you have siblings, things might come up. If you don't have siblings, there you go. Don't have to worry about it. But also, when I talk to people, some people, I read charts for people that have like lots of planets in their third house and they're an only child. And that means that they make their friendships like siblings. Like they're just very close to their friends and they make people feel like family, even though they didn't physically have siblings, right? So this full moon is on Wednesday evening, and there's other interesting things happening. If you've been tuning into any of my other broadcasts, I just posted one on my YouTube about Mercury retrograde, which you might want to watch because that just started. And what's interesting is to have the full moon in Gemini during a Mercury retrograde. Mercury rules Gemini. So everything that's mercurial, commerce, trade, communication, like exchanging information, learning, that kind of thing, that's all very mercurial technology. And to have Mercury retrograde during this time period where we're having the full moon in Gemini, it's definitely going to bring some things to the surface. And I was noticing, not to personalize it, but it's like you can't help but personalize it because that's my own experience, right, to be able to share with you. So like for me, it's I think the Mercury retrograde is happening because it's in Sagittarius. I think it's happening in my 4th house. And I just keep burning all my food. Like that's where my communication is not happening. And I never burn food. So it's pretty funny to see how things express themselves. So I have to really focus when I'm at home and I'm trying to cook and that kind of thing. So Mercury retrograde, when that is happening, it happens a few times during the year. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that there's restructuring. There's knowledge coming in. You're having to like redo or reanalyze how you do things. So for whatever reason, I'm supposed to be paying attention more when I'm at home and cooking food. Which is pretty smart anyway, to just be aware of that. So you want to know where this Mercury retrograde is happening for you. And the cool thing is it's very easy to know if you understand with the chart. Whenever we have a full moon, we are having the full moon in Gemini. The opposite sign of that is Sagittarius. And so you want to know where both your Sagittarius house is and where your Gemini house is. And they're exactly opposite each other. So we have this full moon happening where the Sun and Jupiter and Mercury are all over there together in Sagittarius. As you guys might know or might not know, Jupiter just moved into Sagittarius for this next 12 and a half months. It will be there. So we're having this initiation. We're having this initiative energy coming in that's really bringing us insight. It's bringing us things to be aware of. It's bringing in lots of awareness. And so if anything this week, just to be very aware of your words, of the way that you communicate, and also how you're moving about in the world. So Sagittarius is traveling. It's moving around. It's exchanging ideas. It's open-minded. So when you're exchanging with others, you have to be cautious of your words. You have to be cautious of your own biases. And so with this full moon, definitely there might be conflicts that come up around relating, exchanging information, exchanging ideas. Politically in our world is so strange right now, which is not unusual. It's always strange. We just tend to forget about it. We tend to have amnesia about it. I was just thinking about like 3 years ago, when there was a lot of like rioting happening and a lot of political things shifting and changing, and it seemed so intense then, and it seemed like we weren't going to get out of it, but we did. It's not like anything came to a resolve necessarily, but we did move through it. And so it's important for us to always remember when we feel like things are just like out of control or just never going to be the same again. It's like we're just going through a growth period right now, and to be aware of your own actions, your own intentions right now is really important. So this Gemini full moon is happening at 0 degrees of Gemini. And as I was saying in one of my other videos, the next 5 full moons, I think, are going to be in 0 degrees. What does that mean? Well, we know the energy, I just talked about the energy of a full moon is things coming into consciousness, things coming to the surface, because they're opposite signs. So the sun is in one sign, the moon is in another sign, exactly opposite each other. And when that happens, that kind of clash that happens because they're opposite each other brings things to our consciousness, sometimes in an uncomfortable way, sometimes in a not uncomfortable way. Either way, it's energized. We tend to say that like the new moon is a more muted energy, kind of like you want to be at home, you want to be cozy, and the full moon's got like energy to it. So in that way, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or good. It just means it's energized. So when we have a full moon, it's that energizing energy. It is that even a way to say it? But it's that polar opposite energy coming into our consciousness around, 2 different things. And so, when I do charts for people who are born at the full moon, they have this kind of polarizing ideas of things. And that's pretty normal if you're born at the full moon to kind of see things 2 different ways, and that's okay. But it's about finding that middle ground. So if we're looking for the middle ground at this full moon, we'd want to look to the opposite energies of Pisces, which we have Mars just moved into Pisces, and Virgo. And both Virgo and Pisces are very spiritual. Virgo is spiritual in the way that it's all about service to the self first so that you can serve others, filling your own cup first, taking care of the day-to-day routines and rhythms that you need to in order to serve the self and to serve and share it with others. And then Pisces is more about the etheric, it's more about the dream time, it's more about the all one consciousness. So we really want to lean into those energies, because with this full moon, there is a square to Mars. And with that square to Mars, it's forming this T-square, and we really want to lean into the Virgo. And so, yes, some of the Pisces as well, but with Virgo, it's definitely like slowing things down, taking care of your basic needs. How's your nervous system right now? How are you sleeping? Probably not so great. Definitely drinking like the relaxation teas and taking care of your health. This tends to be a week where we overindulge. And so it's really important to just take care of the body, take care of the mind, maybe doing a little less social media, maybe doing a little bit more meditation, going for a walk out in nature, whatever you can do to serve yourself at this time, to be in service of your body at this time is going to help in all ways. And I was just writing in my newsletter about sometimes how we can feel selfish in doing that. And really the reality is that when we're feeling good ourselves, that's going to raise our vibration, and it's actually going to encourage other people to join us, whether that be our children, whether that be, our friends or our family or our partner. We want to just always be aware that if we're feeling guilt or shame about taking care of ourselves, that's a red flag right there that shows you that anything that keeps you away from taking care of yourself, and usually it's our own mind, is the lower level vibration. And so just always remember that, but especially this week, I think it's ultra important. If there's certain traditions in your family that just wear you down, it's okay to say, you know what, this year I just need to sit this one out. And I know that that's hard for people, but it's also really important in a way of just making sure that your own system is tended to right now. So because of this T-square, which we're talking about the sun and the moon in opposite signs, we have the sun in Sagittarius. No, the sun will be in Sagittarius. It's going to be on Wednesday. So it's like as soon as the sun moves into Sagittarius, bam, we're getting this full moon. And I just want to tell you how unique it is to have Jupiter in its home sign of Sagittarius and then a full moon in Gemini, while Gemini, the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and that's in Sagittarius as well. So not only are we having that polarizing energy within the full moon, but we're also having that polarizing energy within the Mercury placement as well. And Mercury doesn't feel super comfortable in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is very open, expansive, big ideas. And Mercury's like, how are we gonna do this? Come on, like, come up with a plan. Actually do something. Don't just be all in your head. And so it can be a little bit challenging. This time can be a little bit challenging for that reason. However, if we can lean into that Virgo energy, it's really going to help us. And there is so much with the nervous system lit up with Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius, and then the full moon in Gemini. Always just our nervous system is a little bit more activated, and we need to talk things out. I have a Gemini moon sun, and last night I just texted his father. I'm like, oh man, I remember this last year, this Gemini full moon, because I was in Hawaii, and his dad was texting me like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is this full moon? And it's because he's Gemini moon, and our sun is super sensitive to the full moons. And so I'm like, oh no, now I have him for the full moon in Gemini. So funny, because when his dad had him, I was like, oh, it's fine, like it'll be okay. This is so funny how some kids are so much more sensitive to the full moons. So you want to know where this Gemini full moon is happening for you. Where is Gemini in your chart? What house is it in? If you don't know, it's really easy to get your chart for free on, it's really easy to get your chart for free. How are you guys doing today? I wasn't looking at my comments at all, I'm sorry. But if you know your rising sign, sometimes that'll help you figure out where this is happening for you. So if you know your rising sign, you're welcome to type it into the chat. I'm not even looking at my comments on Facebook. I'm on two different things here. But I wanted to definitely tell you guys that, it's really easy to get your chart for free. You can get on astro.com. Like I said in one of my other videos, I used to have a free way to get it on my website, and they discontinued that. They decided that they wanted to start charging for it. And so I really think it's important for you to have your chart for free. So go to astro.com, get it. If you wanted to get a full chart reading with me, Virgo rising. Oh, good. Lean into your Virgo rising, Joe. Sun sign Gemini. Okay. Yeah. How are you feeling? I'm curious. So get your chart for free. Get it. If you haven't had a chart reading with an astrologer, get a chart reading with an astrologer. It is like, I don't know. We sometimes think it's just like, I'm not saying that astrologers are doctors, but it's kind of this idea that, you can only get so much from doing online searches and from looking at your own chart, or having a friend that knows a tiny bit about astrology look at your chart. It's really something just like a doctor. You want a skilled person looking at your chart, because there's so many different aspects and different things that are happening that can affect your personal chart. So definitely at some point in your life, invest in getting a chart reading. You won't be sorry, and you'll have it forever. I send out recordings so people have that recording for forever. Well, for as long as that recording lives. Impatient but energized. Yeah, there's a lot of energizing energy out there. Paco, come here. This dog always interrupts my life. So, okay, I wanted to finish talking about this full moon, and we'll just have to listen to the dog bark. So that Mars just moved into Pisces. That is a very confusing energy. Mars isn't too happy in Pisces, because Mars is all about direct action, moving the body forward, and Pisces is all about the dream world. And there's a lot of similarities between Pisces and Sagittarius. So if you, there's a lot of similarities there. However, Mars does not like being in Pisces. And when it's in Pisces, we can get really confused about what our next step should be. And especially with this Mercury retrograde happening, we're really not supposed to be initiating new things right now. So that being said, if you have to, and it's just non-optional, then you're going to have to do that. But if you can, definitely waiting to start new things. And there's a lot just like getting processed out. Whenever we're in a Mercury retrograde, there's things getting processed out. But especially with Mars in Pisces, our dream time is super important, making sure that you're getting enough sleep. I can't tell you how many people are contacting me about their dreams lately and how intense their dreams have been. I get texts from people all the time about their dreams. And, it's something that we just want to pay attention to. You want to write a little bit about what you're dreaming about, because there is information there for you to to explore. This week is really vital for you to be aware of your body and taking care of yourself, but also your mind and taking care of your mind, noticing what thoughts are coming up, what your inner voice is. One of the best ways to change negative self-talk is to just listen, just to be like, what is coming through? What am I telling myself? What am I saying to myself? And like, what stories are you telling about the things that you can't do because, you know? So this is really time to just listen and tune in this week. Knowing where Gemini, which house Gemini is in for you, so looking for 0 degrees of Gemini in the chart. When I'm talking about degrees in the chart, the first degree of Gemini, or 0 degrees of Gemini, is at the very beginning of that sign. So at the very cusp of that sign, that's where Gemini is, okay? And then 29 degrees is at the very end of Gemini. It's really simple. Like, the chart is so simple. I really want to make a more simplistic version for people just starting out, but it's really, really simple once you understand. It's just a circle. It's got 360 degrees, and each sign has 30 degrees. So where's 0 degrees of Gemini in your chart? And the glyph for Gemini, I'll post in the comments. I can't do it on my Instagram, but I'll do it on my Facebook. And then you also want to know where Sagittarius is for you. We're 0 degrees of Sagittarius. Where is Sagittarius in your chart? We have 0 degrees, 3 degrees, and 10 degrees all getting lit up. So basically, if you have a lot of mutable energy in your chart, a lot of mutable inner planets in your chart, you're going to want to look for 0 to 10 degrees of each of those mutables. And you're going to experience this full moon more intensely than the rest, likely. And then also we have a lot of cardinal things happening as well. So we have, Uranus in 29 degrees of Aries. We have the North Node that just moved into 20 degrees of Cancer, Capricorn, and then we have Venus, which has just ended her retrograde, is going back over Libra and Scorpio, and so she's also at the end of Libra. So it's just like we have so many cardinal starting new things at a time where we're not supposed to be starting new things. We still have Uranus retrograde. We still have Venus going back over territory that it went over and during its retrograde. So we have like this kind of we want to start things energy, but then the mutable energy, whenever we're in a Sagittarius, so the sun is moving into Sagittarius, that's the change from fall to winter. Well, what metaphysically is it about the change from fall to winter? Winter's like completely dead. Everything's completely dead. And right now there's still leaves falling off of the trees. There's still changes happening in the weather. We haven't gotten a good heavy rain here in the Pacific Northwest. We probably will be this week, but there's still that change of seasons happening. And so when we're being asked to just like let the rest fall away, it's the most intense part of the death process. And even though we are moving out of Scorpio season, we still have that Venus retrograde was powerful. It only happens every 18 months. And so Venus is still going to be moving over Scorpio, bringing up that past, like, hey, are you sure you don't want to go back and do it this way? Or do you want to start something completely fresh, you know? And so we're having to really look at all of our inner demons around where we've let ourselves down in the past, what stories we've been telling ourselves, those like initiating energies that come in that are like, oh, well, you're never gonna blah, 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 because blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, those things are all really coming to a head right now, and we're being asked to really change that, because mutable energy is about change. And so we're being asked to really look deeper and look beyond this. And with Gemini helping us, Gemini is all about getting practical. Like, if you know any Gemini people, they tend to be kind of bubbly and sparkly and sharing information. And there's not a whole lot in the Gemini personality that holds on to the old identity, that holds on to the old belief system. There's a lot of like fresh, new bubbly energy. And so when we're having a full moon in Gemini, we have this opportunity to kind of get a glimmer of our future, get a glimmer of where we want to go, what we want to do in the new year, in the upcoming months when we go out of Mercury retrograde. So it's a really important time for us to just be aware and pay attention to the stories and what's coming through. And also what we're just sick of. Like, if we're just sick of something and just ready to finally let it die, maybe you could throw a little like funeral party for parts of yourself that you're ready to let go of. bury things in the ground. I know that I was talking about Virgo, leaning into the Virgo energy. Virgo energy is very earth. So definitely getting in touch with nature, getting in touch with the earth right now is going to be really helpful to you. Bury something in the ground that isn't serving you anymore. Only if it's biodegradable though. Okay, I think I've kind of talked as much as I wanted to talk about this full moon. This is a really amazing week for just things coming into consciousness, so just pay attention. Joe, thanks for tuning in. I don't know, there's other people on here too. How are you guys doing? And one other thing is, if you're on my mailing list, check your newsletter this week, because this week only I'm doing buy one, get one free of individual chart readings and also couples chart reading. So if you purchase a gift certificate for your partner for a couples reading, you'll get a follow-up free chart reading in 2019. And if you purchase either a chart reading for yourself or a gift certificate for someone else, you'll get a free full chart reading for yourself. So this is only available to those of you on my mailing list, if you're on my Moon Oracles list. And so if you're not already on there, definitely get on there through the link in my profile and you'll get that newsletter. Otherwise, we only have a few weeks left with 2018. If you want to end 2018, if you want to end 2018 off, leaving the old garbage behind, it's a great time to do healing work and to really get in there. And I do have one coaching package spot available for the rest of 2018. What that is 5 weeks with me. We do intuitive healing work. We do full astrological chart reading and a transit reading for the future. And so it's really, there's other things, but I'm not going to go into it, but like, it's really helpful for really just leaving the past in the past and really empowering yourself, getting clarity on moving forward. What are your passions? Where do you want to move yourself forward, and how to do that? Getting your footing, just like getting you moving forward, getting you that confidence and knowing what your strengths are, knowing what's unique about you that's different, And so we all have our unique gifts to share. Oh, hi. I didn't see all my comments on Facebook. I apologize. I have a lot of screens open. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week. And if you're interested in working with me, reach out, and otherwise stay tuned for upcoming videos. If you don't already subscribe to me on YouTube, I have a Mercury retrograde video out and I have a Jupiter through the signs out as well. So definitely check those out. I didn't look at my notes, so maybe I should do that before I get off this call, since I don't want to do another video this week. I really don't. So be clear, keep it simple. There's really a lot of confusing energies out there if you wanted to fall victim to that. But if you can keep it simple, if you can keep your words brief and work your body this week, you're going to do well. Our interactions with the square to Mars can be conflictive, so you want to make sure you don't get into conflicts. If you feel someone starting to pull you in, like you might go there, just really disconnect. You can do that whole light and love thing where you're like sending it back with light and love, but don't get into it this week. Just don't do it. And if you feel like things are coming up, go take a time out. I do this all the time as a mom. I'm like, I need to take a time out. I'll be back. And it's great because then I don't do something that I regret. So there's a lot of creative energy this week. You might want to utilize that if you can. And thinking things through before you act on them. Really rereading texts, rereading emails. Oh, there's my landlady. She's up on the roof. That's funny. Okay, and then temper things might be flared up. And sometimes we can't control. Sometimes we're just around people and they just have a temper tantrum. And just like with a child, you can do the same thing where you're like, you're feeling upset right now. You're really feeling upset right now. And just affirming their feelings and not engaging, not getting into it. That is about all I have. We have Neptune going direct on the 25th, which is this week as well. I have no idea dates. I think it's Sunday. And that is a time where, since Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and we have Mars in Pisces, we have Neptune in its home sign of Pisces, there can be like delusions or you know, kind of like things being revealed to you in a very practical way, since Gemini and Sagittarius isn't super practical, but Gemini is. There might be things being revealed to you where you're like, why didn't I see that before? Or why didn't I know that before? So just being aware things might be unveiled, so to speak. I think that's all I have. Oh, I didn't talk about how it's in 0 degrees. I was talking about how the next 5 full moons are in 0 degrees. And what that means is that with the full moon, it's things coming into conscious, you're being made aware of things. But when it's in like 0 or the 1st degree of a sign, it's newer energy. It's being aware of like, oh, how come I didn't see this potential here? Or gosh, I have all this energy that I want to express in a way that I didn't think was possible. So there's a lot of opportunities available. We call the 29 degrees and 0 degrees the critical degrees, or with, you know, the 0 degrees, it's an interesting degree. Okay, some people don't even believe in 0 degrees, but it's there. It's a number, and so it's very much about. It's about being, it's like a baby. It's like the baby part of the sign. It's the double whammy of the sign. So in those first 10 degrees is the double whammy. And so we definitely want to be aware that there's just a lot of potential there for growth and rebirth in this area. So being aware wherever Gemini, 0 degrees of Gemini, 0 degrees of Sagittarius is in your chart. Okay, now I'm just blabbering on. Bye guys. I'm ending one video.